What is up, YouTube? It is a nice hot day, but I was working on this. You guys will see the video for this shortly. Taking a Chevy tire carrier, making it all work together. Did a part one. I did not have a chance to go through and film any of the stuff that I was working on just because I wanted to get it done and was running out of time. So tire carrier is mounted, so we got a nice 15-inch spare on the van, and I don't have to worry about trying to strap this either in the van or on the roof. So that's step one. Got 3 bolts holding it on, nice and solid. Step two, I guess it's not really steps, it's more orders. Falcon parts are supposed to be coming in this week, so that's exciting. Now I have more reasons to be motivated and do stuff. Here is a bunch of the miscellaneous. I went over to the metal place, welding fab shop, or not fab shop, but metal supply place, grabbed a bunch of drops. Here's what we're looking at. I'm going to try my best to bring you guys under the car on the Falcon and see where we're at here. It gets real tight underneath the car. So I got the trans up, sitting on blocks. Now it's jacked up, but got blocks underneath it, roughly, kind of, sort of in position. Here is the Crossmember, kind of what I'm looking at. I have Crossmember here, frame rail here. The frame rail's got a curvature around this. I'm getting rid of all of that. There's some flat stock plate bridging the actual frame rail to the trans mount sections. So basically I got angle iron, I got flat stock. When this trans goes up into position like it's supposed to be, which I'm bringing up right now, I basically have the stock cross member is about 1.5 inches away from the bolt hole that would line up directly and not cause me any issues. That's not going to work. So I was looking at doing either a set of bar stock through here, and again, this is going to be kind of a temporary thing, just to get it running and driving. Once it's running and driving, I can bring it over to the shop, put it on a lift, and I'm going to make a really nice round tube cross member, or refab and redo this in a nicer way, but I don't have a welder at the house. Whatever I can do to get by with bolt-on stuff. Driveway build is going to be the way I'm going to go until I can get this at least running, driving, mobile, under its own power. So, with that in mind, I think what I'm going to do, and I don't know if this is right or wrong, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm going to cut off this bridge section, because if I get rid of this, a regular piece of angle iron will slip fit right through here. If I drop angle iron in here, I have the C6 mounting bolt hole up top, which will work. It's the closest one I have. I also have the original C4 mount up front. I cut a bunch of sections of angle iron kind of long. If I run them all the way through, I can put 2 bolts in on the subframe to the frame rail connection, and then let it overhang and do 1 bolt on the cross member. My shop is 4 minutes from my house, so if it's running and driving and I can drive it 5 minutes, that's really all that it needs to stay together for. But I'd like to get it a little bit more solidified, moving it back and forth all the time. As it sits right now, we're going to try and cut these little tabs off of here and get this set up where I can just drop a straight piece of angle iron in here. If I need to channel a little bit off the angle iron to fit and clear this frame rail. Might get a little goofy on the bolts because I know it's not perfectly spaced. If I crank this all the way up, I hit the tunnel before this completely bottoms out on that subframe section. And I don't want the trans sitting that high. I think it's pretty close to wanting to be that high, just not maxed out. You start cutting some parts off of this, and you guys can yell at me later in the comments. Alright, so I was up at the shop earlier today. Used the bandsaw and cut down a bunch of these. Look at this big chunk I just took out of my thumb. Oh, that's miserable. I mean, I can't feel my fingertips anyway, but when you get a big white blister instantaneously, that's always a good, fun time. Alright, so the only other thing, I gotta notch out this little lower section, and then this will sit pretty much right in this little pocket. So let me make some more noise. So now this angle iron section will bolt right into here, like so. I think that'll give me enough. A sliver more, I think, in terms of room here. Oh, I'm just gonna drill a hole. It's gonna be cross member to cross member. Drill a hole, get this thing in. I'll let it overhang long. I know I lost this outside edge, but I'm gonna leave this flush with the inside because that makes a little more sense to me. And basically just bolt this together for now. That's about where I want the trans to sit. This will go here, and then if I need to run some spacers or some make a steel spacer, I'll just do a nut and bolt with a nut in between. Like I said, down and dirty, it's not going to be the nicest thing in the world, but it doesn't need to be right now. Drill a hole in this angle iron and get a bolt in there. I was going to try and climb under the car and show you what the cross member is set up like, but it started raining and everything's soaked and I don't want to get wet climbing underneath there. But the trans is in and cross member is bolted. I do need to make a couple spacers in between the angle iron brackets that I put in there. Not the prettiest thing in the world at all, but again, I just need to get it from here to the shop, and then we're going to go through, and I got a bunch of rust repair to do on these cross braces for the trans mount anyway, especially the driver's side. The passenger side's not too bad, but the driver's side needs work. I knew that as soon as I got it, but it's in, solidified. So there's that part, and then what else? Started working on the motor a little bit more, or engine bay. Got the radiator rough mounted, 2 bolts on each side. I'm gonna drill through and make 2 more bolt holes to solidify that in place. I mean, right now it's not going anywhere. Got 1 radiator hose that should come close to working. It's not perfect, but again, temporary, quick, just get it running, break it in first. I gotta figure out what I'm doing with the exhaust for break-in, since I cannot do a open header break-in for 20 minutes in the driveway. I'm just not at the house. Neighbors don't like that. I wouldn't like that. Well, I would actually like that, but most people, normal people, would not. So I got the right bolt for the alternator. That's gonna go in next. As soon as I pick that up, I just forgot it at the shop. So alternator bolt and spacers. I got a V-belt pulley coming for the crank. And that's pretty much where we're at. I gotta finish the setting, or the fittings on the intake manifold. Get all that buttoned up. Still need to get a battery, but that'll be the last thing I do when I go to actually start the thing. But the trans, cross member, all that stuff is in and finished like I need it to be for now. Then it's just a bunch of buttoning up the rest of it. I did get that TV cable in the mail, so a little more motivated to start jamming away on this. I gotta make up the trans lines. I gotta get a trans cooler to finish those up. Hook up the electric cooling fan, but never-ending project. Slowly checking things off the list.